for the last 25 years, after being involved in all kinds of bands and all kinds of record companies, I wanted to make a proper country album. The thing that's dawning on me now is how these American guys are going, hey, what's going on here with this English guy?
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you because we're with Paul and we're in his home studio and we're going to go back to the beginning later because this is the first of a series of podcasts, and rather than going back in time, we're going to start in the present.
Okay.
And take you to this new album, and the present is, and also the future as well, because yeah, Back to the Future, that's where we are right now. That sums it up perfectly because, okay, I'm sure most people knowing now, but viewing now, I should say, know that because I'm sure most people viewing now will know that you've got this new album out, which has taken you down the country route. And
yeah,
it's not something we've associated you with, but you've been a big fan for years, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. I've been a fan of all kinds of music, every kind of music, and growing up, I suppose any kind of American music we could get, and a lot of it would have been country based. I mean, I love people like the Everly Brothers, Jerry Lee Lewis, Chet Atkins, Merle Travis. My brother was a big fan of his, so even way back then. But I mean, I kind of went on more of a rock and roll kind of route, meandered around in various bands and what have you. But I think during the sort of mid-80s onwards, I was doing a lot of touring in America with various bands. And one particular gentleman was a guy called Nick Lowe, who and we did tons of these sort of bus tours of America, driving up and down.
And he appears with you regularly these days as well, doesn't he?
Well, occasionally. So we would drive, we did all kinds of tours with station wagons, vans, buses, the whole thing. And we would tend to play country music. And Nick had quite a good handle on a lot of stuff and introduced me to a lot of artists that I wasn't particularly familiar with back in the day. But I mean, some really great artists. The obvious ones, people like George Jones, Merle Haggard, and Buck Owens, all the classic.
But would you have heard those in the UK?
Well, probably, but I think when you're actually in the States and you're on the road and you're stopping at the truck stops and all that sort of stuff, it just seems natural to have that stuff, and it all kind of makes sense.
Was there one particular song that you heard that made you think, wow, what is this? This is something different. Was there something that spurred the country music in you?
No, I mean, there's so many songs. There's so many great artists, and there's so many songs. There's tons of them, and great players. And we just loved it.
Okay, but there's a great story with this album as well. And I noticed you cheekily called it The Country Side of Paul Carrack, Volume 1.
Yeah.
Now I think that's that's a good thing to do, because you obviously thought this could be successful. Well, and has it been? How's it gone down with the fans?
Well, it has been successful in that I like it for a kick-off.
It's positive.
Yeah, it is, and I think I wasn't sure how people would react to it, especially. But I think people who like me and like what I do, and they know I do a lot of different things, and I'm singing songs, good songs on it. So I think it has had a great response from the fans, even a certain amount of critical acclaim. But my purpose for doing it was really just for my own fun, satisfaction. For the last 25 years, after being involved in all kinds of bands and all kinds of record companies and what have you, I started to release my stuff independently.
Yeah.
And which in the first instance was a bit of a shock to me, because I had no idea what I was doing. I knew how to make a record, but I didn't know how to get it out there. But with a lot of help from my good friend Mr. Van Hook, who's lurking away in the background somewhere.
Who's the executive producer on the album?
That's what we called him, but
And
he was
Miles-
the T-boy, really.
And my old school friend, we went to school together.
I know.
And he is lurking there. I'm going to bring him in for some reason. In
No,
a minute, yeah.
no, you don't need to do that.
Oh, no, I just want to embarrass him.
So, yeah, and I had wanted. I've done bits and pieces of country or country influenced stuff. I've even had songs covered by people like the Eagles, Linda Ronstadt. And
Oh, we'll get to all that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We'll do all that because I want to go through the tracks on it so people have an insight into the reasons you chose them and all that kind of thing. But it must be very rewarding that it became the #1 country album.
Apparently, I've even got a trophy somewhere.
It's behind you.
Is it behind? It's behind
Yeah.
you.
Come on, let's get it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on, bring it in.
Where is
Yeah,
it
it's only
then?
behind you, right there.
Okay.
Perched on top of the.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it means, but it's apparently official, so it's got to be good.
Show it to the camera.
The official.
There we are.
#1 it was.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So very rewarding
I've
for
got
you.
too
so,
many here.
So there's definitely going to be a volume 2, and it's on all the different formats as well, isn't it? So there's the streaming. I'll talk to you about streaming in a minute because it doesn't sometimes have good publicity, does it? But you've got the CD. People still playing CDs.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'd like to. Mine doesn't work at home. And of course, vinyl is back.
Yeah, it's very popular, very popular vinyl. I don't even have a record player myself, but people like it.
That's shocking, Paul.
Yeah, well, not really. I mean, I don't listen to an awful lot of music at home anyway, but I like making music, and
Why don't you listen to a lot? It's because by that time you just want to get away from music.
possibly, yeah. But no, as I say, I enjoy making music more than anything. But I'm going to go back to the point I was trying to make about when we started the label, and it meant that I had the freedom to do things that I wanted to do. I had done bits and pieces of country stuff in the past, but I'd never made an actual album. But on this occasion, we set aside time this year, did a bit less touring, and because I wanted to make a proper country album. I wasn't sure how I was going to do it, but there was a fortunate coincidence. But I'll let you butt in again now.
No, you carry on. What's the fortunate coincidence?
Well, I mean, as I said, I had definite plans. I wanted to make a proper country record. I wasn't sure how to go about it. It was a bit weird because it at the time, country is having a bit of a resurgence in the mainstream, and I didn't want it to look like I was jumping on the bandwagon, but anyway. But I got a phone call from, out of the blue, from a guy in America, North Carolina he lives, but he works out of Nashville. He's a singer, songwriter, producer. And he wanted to cover one of my songs. Not a country song, actually, but he wanted to cover this song. And he got in touch and asked if I'd be interested in collaborating with him, maybe play a bit of keyboards and sing a couple of lines. And I checked him out, I did my research, and it turned out he was pretty good. And so I agreed to do this collaboration. And we had a lot of conversations. And during one of these conversations, I mentioned that I'd love to make a country album, but I wasn't sure how I was going to do it. Would I do it at home here, or would I love to do it in Nashville? And he said, well, I can help you to do that. So that was the beginning of the how that ball started rolling.
It's interesting that, because I think a lot of people getting an email from somebody like that, people in your position would just go, oh, it's somebody else, and dismiss it. And yet you didn't, because there was something that made you think differently.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, to be honest, I do get quite a few those kind of emails, and I usually I politely decline. But I was actually on holiday, and I for some reason I thought I would just look into it. And as I say, he's an independent artist. He has a lot of stuff out there on YouTube and what have you. And I thought, actually, this guy's pretty good. And that was why I agreed to do the collaboration. And then from further conversations and realizing that he was a producer as well. And
it opened a door to Nashville.
Exactly. So that's how that came about.
But you must have been tempted. Oh, right word.
See what you did there.
Coincidence. Wasn't planned. You must have been tempted to go to Nashville. Why? Because you did it here, didn't you? You did your vocals.
I did my
here.
vocals here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's giving the game away a little bit. It might be. I hope it doesn't disillusion anybody. But when we did that first collaboration, yeah, I did my bits here. You know, I played some organ. I sang there.
In this very room.
In this very room, and so as I say, when we started having discussions about how we would make this happen, what we did was chose a bunch of songs, and I chose a lot of my favourites and songs I was very familiar with. I wanted it to be a classic sounding record rather than. I don't know what's going on with the modern country, to be honest with you. I'm sure it's fantastic and there's a load of great artists, but
that could be volume 2 or 3.
No, it won't. No. I'm more interested in sort of classic country, really, rather than the modern stuff. Oh, look, I'm not knocking it.
We were talking about Nashville because I'm interested.
Oh,
because
yeah.
we haven't mentioned who he is yet.
Did I not mention?
No.
Oh, let's keep him quiet. Keep him secret. His name is Stephen Wood.
Yeah.
This guy is called Stephen Wood. He's an independent artist, songwriter, singer, producer.
Does a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to know, did he not say to you at some point, Paul, come over to Nashville, let's do it together. Get the vibe.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how we decided on the logistics of it, but from the initial collaboration, we did kind of over the internet, if you like, in that he sent me the files of his track and showed me where he would like me to sing and play, and I played the organ and sang some vocals here, and then I send the files back to him, and we figured out that was quite a good way to work. I mean, a lot of people do that nowadays. It's called working remotely, I suppose.
And I think it became more of a big thing during COVID, of course.
Exactly. Indeed.
And yes, as you say, so many do it that way now, and you would never know, so why not? It saves the airfare.
Yeah, well, there is that. But I actually like doing my stuff here. I like
feel at home.
I've got my way of doing things, and I feel at home and relaxed. And so I'm quite happy doing my vocals here. So the way it would work Stephen would make a very simple track once we decided on a song. You make a very simple little sketch, if you like, or a demo, some drums, a keyboard, and he would send that over to me. I would then sing to that track, and then he would go into the studio in Nashville. Once we had 5 songs, we did 2 lots of 5. Once we had the first 5, he went into the studio in Nashville, Hilltop Studios, famous studio, with a 6-piece band of fine Nashville musicians, and they would play and respond to my vocal. So it does still have that humanity and spontaneity of guys in a room playing together. It's not like a lot of records made nowadays, layered, one thing at a time.
Yeah.
It's done together in response to my vocal.
Which is, I guess, how they used to do it in the old days. All right, you weren't there, but if Frank Sinatra was making an album, he would do it in front of the whole orchestra.
Absolutely.
And it was, that was it.
That's right. That's
Wonderful.
Right. Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the songs and how you came to choose them. I mean, it starts off with the classic Sea of Heartbreak.
Yeah.
The Don Gibson song, which wasn't it Hal David who did the lyric for that?
It might well have been.
I think it was.
I think you might be right there.
Yeah, Sea of Heartbreak. Don Gibson had the hit. Yeah. And so what made you choose that?
I think that was one of Stephen's suggestions. And because I'm a sucker for ballads, actually. I would do a whole album of ballads. But, you got to have a bit of...
It's volume 3.
Could be. You got to have a bit of tempo in there. And
of course.
And I think that was his suggestion. But I was very familiar with that song. You know, I knew it by. It's a lot of these songs have been covered by a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, a good song can be covered by a lot of people.
And, you know, there are, you know, for people of a certain age, familiar songs on there, like Sea of Heartbreak, but also Heartaches by the Number.
Heartaches by the Number.
Guy Mitchell.
Yeah, indeed. Well, and several others. I think, again, Ray Price, I think, did that. I think that was our point of reference.
Recorded by everybody
Yeah.
who could sing.
Indeed.
Yeah. And also, of course, the fans especially will be so familiar with the song you mentioned earlier, the one you gave to the Eagles, Love Will Keep Us Alive. I think, you know, in future podcasts, I think we can talk about that, because you must have spoken about it on every interview you've ever done. So let's leave that for now.
Okay.
But it did team you up with, it wasn't you who co-wrote it, with Jim Capaldi, and it was Peter Vale, wasn't it?
Peter Vale, yeah.
Who used to write hits with Leeson.
That's right.
Mike Leeson, that was his name. And they did Charles and Eddie's Would I Lie to You? And I think, was it My One Temptation with Misha Paris as well?
Possibly. I mean, so. They had a real good run of songs. I think initially with Love Will Keep Us Alive, it was Pete's. He had the basic shape of the song. I think Jim came up with the title, Love Will Keep Us Alive, and I sat in and pitched in with a few lines here and there. But I mean, the reason that came about, I was contacted by Don Felder from the Eagles. He was the guitar player in the Eagles at the time. Yeah. And I knew Timothy B. Schmidt, the guy with the beautiful high voice. I'd met him in 1975 when the first tour of America I did, when we were with Ace and we had our big hit, How Long. Timothy was with a band called Poco, who were on the same label. Yeah. And that's when I got to meet him initially. And we would run into each other occasionally on the road, or if we were in LA, he would come down and see us. Sometimes he brought down Don Henley. And so we vaguely kept in touch. But this call was kind of out of the blue from Felder when, before the Eagles kind of got back together again. And Don and Timothy they wanted to do something. They wanted to maybe put a little band together, do some shows, make some recordings. And they invited me over there to work on some songs with them. One of the songs I took was that song, Love Will Keep Us Alive.
Right. And it's one of your greatest songs, there's no doubt about that. But I'm interested in your co-writers as well. Jim Capaldi, did you used to do much work with Jim?
No, I'd never met him.
Well, how did that come about then?
I'd never met either of them. I think because there may have been a time in the beginning of this thing with Don and Timothy where Jim might have, you know, been talking to them as well with a view to, you know, writing songs for the thing. But it's a bit vague now. It was in the mid-90s.
A great song. One of the other familiar songs for the general public, Take These Chains From My Heart, Set Me Free, Ray Charles, the famous version. But it was not the original. A lot of people might think Ray's was the original, but it wasn't, was it?
No, I mean...
It was Hank Williams.
It was Hank Williams' song. And I'm a massive fan of Hank Williams.
I knew you would be.
Yeah. So Hank's version is very, you know, raw, I think is probably the word. But again, my brother, 4 years older than me, back when we were kids, he was a big Ray Charles fan. And I love to, I mean, obviously Ray Charles is better known for his kind of jazz or rhythm and blues, but he also sings fantastic country in his own inimitable way. And those old country records of Ray are very polished, very, you know, you got the orchestra, you got the choir, but he's just putting it over in such a beautiful way.
And that's good, because you've exposed what a lot of people wouldn't realise about the country music and Ray Charles. You know, people wouldn't know that, so well done for that. But Hank Williams didn't write that song, but there is a song on the album that you do later. That's track 9, I Saw the Light.
Oh, indeed. Yeah.
So how did you find that one?
Well, we're all familiar with these songs, but that was Stephen's suggestion. That he's very much into the Christian aspect of country. He does a lot of sort of Christian country stuff, and he was keen to get a gospel song of some way, shape, or form. And I actually love the version. I get a bit more bluesy on this one than out and out country, because he would often have to rein me in from the sort of bluesy, soulful stuff and bring it back into country. But with this one, I think we intentionally made it a little bit more bluesy.
And then you team up with Chris Difford again. It's track 6, Cold Light of Day. So, yeah, how did that come about?
Well, obviously, I know Chris from my days with Squeeze. I had a couple of stints playing. Initially, I filled in for Jules Holland. Jules had left the band, and I joined as a keyboard player for an album called East Side Story. Got to sing the one track on there, Tempted, on that album. Had a wonderful time with them. But after about a year or so, I realised that, it was quite a comfortable ride for me in a way, because I was just having to play keyboards and I wasn't writing, I didn't need to sing. They had their own brand and style. So obviously, in fact, I used to share a room with Chris on the road.
Really?
Which I used to drive him insane, because I'm a compulsive whistler. And he bought me a packet of birdseed one day, actually. But I've maintained that relationship, and I've written a song or two on every album I've done, I think, with Chris. But he's predominantly a lyricist, which I always find the hardest bit about writing a song. Melodies and stuff come quite easy to me, but it's great when somebody gives you a lyric and you can put it to music.
When does that melody usually come to you? Could it be in the evening when you're watching
It'd
something?
It'd be in here, and I'd just be mucking about.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And just like that, it materialises.
Well, I guess so. I mean, I'll just sort of jam away, and often something will just come off the top of my head, and if I'm lucky, it might even have a lyrical aspect to it. And then if I get that, I'm okay. I can fill in the blanks. But yeah, as I say, the melodic side of stuff comes fairly easy to me. But the purpose, the reason for writing a song is different.
Yeah, absolutely. There's another one that I spotted when I was looking through the track list, and it said Shelley's. And I thought, oh, you must have covered some of Shelley's Blues, the Mike Nesmith song. But no, it's a different Shelley. Shelley's Winter Love.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? What do
you
know about that?
It's one of those songs that we would play on the bus, because it's Merle Haggard.
Okay.
Who I was familiar with some of his work, but I've really become a major fan. Fantastic song, fantastic story, the guy's life and how he turned himself around, But and as I say, it was one of those songs we would play on the bus, and it's a song that on the occasion of when I get together with Nick Lowe, we often would sing that one together. We've performed that several times.
So that was a must.
Absolutely.
That was a must to be on. Have you got a favourite track on the album?
I've got a few. That I think track 2, if I'm not mistaken, is
Take Me.
Take Me. And the version I'm most familiar with is by an absolute genius called George Jones.
Yep.
And I can't remember who suggested that one. I was a bit trepidatious, because I was a bit like, no, hang on, is this hallowed ground? This is George Jones. He's done the quintessential version of this.
Yeah.
I'm sure this sort of English guy from Sheffield should be doing this. It's this cultural appropriation or whatever they call it. But anyway, in all honesty, I'm not really that precious about things. I don't mind. I'll have a go at anything. And I think it's probably one of my best vocals.
Well, I mean, it's a lovely album throughout. There's no doubt about that. And I hope it does introduce people who were perhaps skeptical about country music in the past, it'll bring more people in.
Well, I don't know if that's going to happen, Graham, or not. I mean, I'm not taking responsibility for that. But as I said, going back to what I said earlier, this for me is a bit of labour of love.
Yeah.
I wanted to have it in my catalogue of, as I say, 25 years I've been releasing stuff. I've on my own label, and I've done a lot of different things, and a lot of people are going, what the hell is he doing now? And the songs with big band, jazz kind of stuff.
But that keeps life interesting.
Definitely, definitely. And my concern really wasn't if it was going to be a commercial or critical success or anything. I just wanted to have the proper... And when the opportunity came to do it properly, with the great Nashville musicians, and all the kind of hard work of it, putting that stuff together and the production element, because I give Stephen the full credit for, he produced the album, and really my input was singing, and that's the easy bit of putting a record together for me. The rest of it, the nuts and bolts. And
has there been much reaction from American country radio?
Yeah, we've actually had good response to my and I don't know if I think that's to do with this chart position as well, but we are getting good coverage, which is fantastic, because that's another thing that's dawning on me now. It's how these American guys are going, hey, what's going on here with this English guy? Thinks he can just walk in and do country. But as I say, I've a tremendous...
Has there been much of a reaction that way?
No, well, only positive, to be honest, unless I'm not seeing it. But the only feedback I've seen has been totally positive. I've seen 2 Facebook posts which were a bit derogatory. One said, what's he doing Val Doonican now, is he? And another guy who said, no, that's like Bruce Springsteen doing opera. No. So, but on the whole...
You're never going to please everybody all the time.
No.
You never will. But you're pleasing yourself. And I was going to say, what is it? How long ago did you first start recording? 50 years?
Yeah.
Must be 50
it
years.
is that. I mean, I've been doing this from leaving school. I was born in 1951. I left school...
Oh, you're younger than me.
I left school at 15.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be in a band.
I mean, it's great that you've done this, your pet genre, music genre, after all these years. I know, as you say, you've done various country songs through the years, but yeah, to actually, how do you think the old record companies that you were with, if you'd gone to them back in the day and said, I want to do a country album, how would they have reacted? What do you think?
Well, it depends, because I think up until a year or two ago, or fairly recently, they would have said, no way. Country wasn't that popular in the mainstream, I don't think. It's huge in all kinds of countries. It is huge, not just America, across Europe. And it is, but it seemed to be an isolated genre, But suddenly there's been this resurgence. You've had the Beyonce and all this. Ringo
did one.
Did a country album, and I think there's a lot of movies with all that sort of. It's been kind of fashionable, I think, but I wasn't honestly really trying to jump on any bandwagon like that. For me, because I wanted to do as authentic as possible an album as I could.
And how long ago did you set up your own record company?
It's 25 years ago, actually, because I mean, I've been in all kinds of bands. I'd done solo stuff. I've been signed to various record companies. It never ended well, usually. And
I don't think you're alone with that.
No, but I made an album in the mid-90s called Blue Views, and that had some success. A song called Eyes of Blue,
which has always been my favourite.
There was a re-recording of How Long in a different style. And I had some quite success across Europe, particularly Spain, funnily enough. And I was given the big pep talk by the record company to right, get in there, do your next album. We're right behind you. You're going to be a core artist and this, that, and the other. Oh, fantastic! So I was in here when it was more like a garage actually, and I made a follow-up album called Beautiful World, and while in between times, the whole kind of hierarchy at the record company, EMI, had changed completely. And I went in there with my record, I've done it. And I could tell within about 30 seconds that the new regime were not interested. They had their own artists that they wanted to get behind. And that was pretty... I was gutted.
Yeah.
I was absolutely gutted for a while there. But
did they release it?
They did release it in the end. Half-heartedly.
Didn't back it.
It was only because basically the guy who'd paid for the record kind of forced them. But they didn't have any appetite for it at all. And it wasn't a bad record. It was a good record. But so I just started coming in my studio and thinking and just doing stuff that the way I wanted to do it. And I put an album together called Satisfy My Soul. And I thought, I'm not going to go and try and shop this around the record companies because I know what they're going to say. They're going to say, yeah, we've got some nice songs. Maybe if you did this and that and the other and remixed and put some strings and all that. And I just didn't want to do that. I liked the record exactly as it was. And it was only because my friend of 30s, probably more like 40 years, a guy he was the actual original drummer in Mike and the Mechanics when I was involved with Mike and the Mechanics.
The aforementioned Peter Van Hook.
Peter Van Hook. And he had some experience he had a couple of jazz labels and, small time stuff. And he said, well, why don't you just do it yourself and put it out on your own label and just, we start very low and we have built a real thing.
So he helped you do this because you must have thought, well, how do we do it?
Yeah, well, I really didn't have a clue. I knew how to make a record, but I didn't know how to get it out into the market. Yeah. But possibly on the fact that I'd been in Mike and the Mechanics and we'd had some radio success with that people were open to to giving it a shot, and we just started very low and I haven't looked back really, because it's almost become like the business model for
artistic control.
For artistic control, because the record companies are they're really only interested in the major, really the big phenomenal artists, the Ed Sheerans, the Beyoncés. So, and usually bands would often work their heart out, make a nice album. If the first single didn't happen, that was the end of that album.
There's no longevity.
There's no longevity to it. Whereas now, that it seems that the whole thing is having the catalogue and the whole story.
When it comes to touring, what do you get the biggest buzz out of these days? Is it the touring or the recording, or is it an equal buzz?
If you do a great gig, it's a great feeling, and I've done. We've built the touring thing. I've had great support from my band, guys who've been with me over. They've been with me 20 years. And
were they on the new album, the country album?
No.
They weren't on that.
No, they weren't. That specifically, it's genre specific. That the guys in Nashville, they know it. They know it.
Yeah.
Inside out.
Leave it to them.
We leave it to them. We get the experts.
And your band would understand that.
Of course. I'm not saying they won't be able to play it if we take it on the road.
No, exactly.
But touring, it is great. I mean, it's a funny situation now, because I've really worked hard to build up a thing on the road, and people are coming. We could play, all year round, because in different countries even, that we've built up a good reputation and a good following. People like what we do.
Well, last year I brought you on stage at the Royal Albert Hall.
You did indeed.
Every seat was filled.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite an accolade.
It is indeed, but it's just come through hard work and putting on a a good show, because we take every show as seriously. It doesn't matter if it's the Albert Hall or, you know, the South End.
No.
Oh, you know, it's got to be a good show, and we've got to give a good account of
And
ourselves.
it really is a good show. It's so polished.
Thank you.
Great band. And I was mentioning to you earlier before we started how, you know, you brought the choir on at the Albert Hall with the Living Years. It was just, it took your breath away.
Yeah, that was a great moment.
Yeah.
And
you had Andy Fairweatherlow coming
Andy,
on as well.
whose birthday it is today, actually.
Really, here we are in early August, August the 2nd, isn't it today? 2025, in case you're watching this down the line. And but Andy, his voice is fantastic. I mean, it's just as powerful. He hasn't changed since Amen Corner.
Well, he had a bit more hair back then. But,
we all had a bit more hair back. Now, don't get onto the
he
hair
doesn't
thing.
even wear a hat, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. Do you know, that's what I'm missing, a hat. You look great in hats. I mean, that is
Just
a real...
as well.
You've got that country look.
Thank you.
Have you got the Stetson?
I've got them all. This is a Stetson, actually.
That is actually a Stetson.
Yeah, well, they make all kinds of hats.
All right. Well, it's very in keeping, yeah. So, the
I wish it had been around, you know, in the 80s and stuff, when I was in bands in the 80s, and I was very self-conscious about my hair falling out. And it's all about MTV, and, you know, it's like, oh, you can't have it. It's not like now. They're all the guys are bald. I think it's the iPhones. But anyway...
It's not fair.
Don't sue me.
I mean, at least, how tall are you? Because I'm only...
6...
Yeah, well, at least
No.
you've got that going. No, you're not. At least you've got height.
I'm about 5'6" or 7. I don't know. I'm probably shrinking.
Well, I know I am. I'm about 5 foot now. I mean, it's terrifying. It's really
That's
not
why
fair,
we
is
like
it?
you to come round, because I can tower over you.
Next podcast, you lend me a hat, okay? Royalties. With the way the industry is at the moment.
I thought you were going to suggest a knighthood there for a second.
Well, mate, you know, down the line, you never know. Well, you should at least get an OBE or an MBE. But anyway, yeah, down the line. I'm talking about the royalties, the way they come in now, especially with the streaming, because it's got bad publicity. Been a lot of famous people who have said that we're just not getting what we should. Has that affected you? Well, the streaming.
I'm a little bit out of step with a lot of musicians, because I think that the streaming has been beneficial to us in a way, and so we kind of embrace it, because
Well, you've got to.
You have got to. Yeah, it's here.
And when your fans buy
away.
When your fans buy your records, do you find it's more streaming these days, or do they prefer the CD or the vinyl?
Well, people have different tastes, but I mean, the streaming's big, and from our point of view, it's good. We can put our stuff out. It gets heard by a lot of people. We're expanding the catalogue aspects of it, and I think with a lot of musicians feel they're getting a raw deal, because in many cases the record companies take the lion's share of the royalties that come through streaming. So in our case, we are the record company. So, you know, we do slightly better on that side of things.
Is there a country that you wouldn't think would go for country music, but you've been surprised they have?
It's big all over the world. I mean, apparently we're going to Sweden later this year to do some shows, and apparently country's always been big there. But I mean, we're not going with a country show. I mean, this is we may be able to incorporate some aspects and a few tunes from this album, but our main thrust is, you know, I've got my big songs, things like How Long, Over My Shoulder, Living Years, Keep Us Alive, those songs, and stuff from what you might expect from me.
To finish off, you are going to Curacao. Now,
yeah.
Peter and I were yesterday just trying to work out. I knew he wouldn't know where it was. I thought it was in Brazil. Do you know where it is?
It's nearer to Venezuela, but it's in the Dutch Caribbean. But basically, there's a a long-running festival that's very famous in Europe called the North Sea Jazz Festival.
Right.
But there's an extension of that they put on in this Caribbean island, Dutch Caribbean. It's Curacao, and we've been invited on to do that. So it seems a bit crazy. It's a long way away, but there's
Took you all of 5 seconds to say yes.
No. My initial reaction was no. I don't think so.
Really?
It's for one gig. It's a long way to go for one gig. Then they said, well, we'll make it worthwhile. So the money's not bad, but there are also some really great artists on that I'm interested in seeing, and might stay on a few extra days, and
And it'll be you and the band.
have a bit of a holiday. That'll be with my regular band.
Sorry,
Yeah.
band,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, have a lovely time. I hope Pete can find it at Curacao. Are you going as well?
I am.
Oh, he is, yeah. Thank you for today. It's been lovely to see you again. The album is terrific. I think you should be very proud of it. And that's your volume 1. This was our podcast, volume 1.
Yeah.
Hopefully there'll be a volume 2.
Yeah.
Paul
We'll
Carrack,
see.
thank you so much for inviting us
It's a pleasure.
into where it all happens. Cheers, everybody.
Have a banana.
Well, why not? Yeah, there's enough here.